Hi, my name's T and I'm a grade 2 flight instructor from Soar. Well, I'm from New Zealand, and back when I was 5, my grandparents used to take me out for fish and chips at the local airport, and all we used to do was watch planes take off and land, and from there I guess gained an interest in aviation, and that continued to grow throughout my teenage years. Personally, for me, it was taking time out of my social life to study and put the hours in required to gain the knowledge that I need to for the theoretical side, as well as the practical side of flying, and also consolidate from the practical side back on the ground, where most of the time is spent really gaining a commercial pilot's license. For me, it is seeing them succeed. It's a sense of nostalgia in the way that I once felt like that, and to see multiple of my students attain their qualifications or even attain for something simple as pass a flight lesson. It just reminds you how much you've worked in the past and now it's their turn to achieve, and it's also a sense of achieving as a team, really, which is fantastic. The obvious would be an airline pilot, which a lot of people want to see themselves as. I, for one, am undertaking flight instruction for the time being. People can also go into charter. People can do skydiving operations, agricultural operations, for aerial photography, fire swatting. People can go work for the government and the police department if they like. There are so many options in aviation. It's not just the standard airline career pathway. So, like many people, I want to become an airline pilot one day. Back when I was training, one of my instructors said to me, what you want to do now will change in 2 years' time, and it will probably change in a subsequent 2 years' time. And being in the industry now for 6 years, I totally understand what he was saying. Now, the end goal still may be an airline pilot one day. However, it's what changes from now until then, all the short-term goals and everything in between, is consistently changing your mindsets, changing you, developing different skills you would like to undertake, different career pathways, so that you can again develop your experience and your skills. In a CPL, there are 7 subjects which you would have to undertake an exam individually for, as opposed to just one exam. And so splitting those into 7 categories means that you have a lot of time, or a lot of work to do to study and make yourself prepared for one subject, let alone 7. So there's a lot of time you have to put aside for yourself to make sure that you are at the required standard, and that is probably one of the most difficult things in all of aviation, really, is the time that you spend on the ground consistently studying. Even if you have got the qualifications, you spend time sitting on the ground consolidating and keeping yourself current. Again, I'm from New Zealand, and I've done a lot of flying around New Zealand, both in the North Island and the South Island. And what I've always believed is how much we take for granted what is in our own backyard. And I've been able to see both sides of the country and how different they are in terms of scenery. And what we really get to see on a daily basis, some people won't even get to see in a lifetime. So again, we take for granted exactly what we have in our backyard. Night flying, you can really do one of 2 ways. One being the night VFR, which is night visual flight rules. And it's very, very similar today, where we use visual references on the ground to help navigate ourselves to our destination and cross-check on our map where we actually are. Of course, during the night we lose a lot of our visual cues because of the lack of natural light. And so things like townships are a big navigation point or navigating point where we can use that artificial light to help navigate, again cross-referencing with our visual navigation charts. Under the IFR, the Instrument Flight Rules, we can utilize our aircraft systems and navigation aids to track to our destination, whether it be day or whether it be night. It really wouldn't make much of a difference. So in a circuit you have 5 legs. You've got the upwind, the crosswind, the downwind, the base leg and final. And the upwind is where we make really our initial portion of climbing as we take off from the duty runway. We use the crosswind turn, which as it states is directly across the wind, and we use that as well to climb to our reference height, which is generally for the circuit about 1,000 feet above the aerodrome level. On the downwind, it's almost like going downstream in a river. We are parallel to the active runway where we start getting the aircraft ready to land. On the base and final leg is where we really get the aircraft configured using flap and gear and reference speeds to make sure that we're all set for a safe landing. To put simply, flap is like a device that's normally attached to the back of a wing, where we use an increase or changes, I say, in drag and lift characteristics of the wing via the flap to benefit us for takeoff and landing. We generally use flap during the landing to help slow the aircraft down. It also increases our forward visibility, which is quite important when we're coming into land on the final approach. In the takeoff, both takeoff and landing, they are used to shorten our takeoff distance, or takeoff roll, and also our landing run once we've actually landed the aircraft. As for trims, there are a little tab that's attached to control surfaces like the rudder, the elevator, or the aileron, and they help relieve the pilot input on a control, which makes our job a little bit more smoother when flying the aircraft. And they can be actuated by something as simple as a lever in the cockpit, a wheel, it could be electric, it could be manual, it could be automatic via an autopilot. Again, they're just to help relieve the control inputs a pilot has once you are flying the aircraft.